Definitely the Argentinian connection. I mean, there are Argentinians everywhere. I'm a huge fan.
That's very true.
Yeah, they're all over the place. So, if I look at a lot of clubs, and I guess that's because that's the coaching side of me. I think like a coach. Like I look at Argentinian players. I mean, that's my job as well. But I look however they're performing in different clubs. So when I do my analysis before the World Cup, like I had to do a report on Argentina before the last World Cup, which thankfully turned out to be correct. They won. But my thing with Inter Milan is I was looking at Syria, which was popular at the time. It's no longer as popular as it is now because obviously with the money of the EPL and so on and marketing. Yep. But the Syria was the place to be back then. There were a lot of teams, individuals I liked. But what I liked about Inter was Zanetti. Javier Zanetti, I just thought this guy was just an impeccable player and a person. Thank God there's so many YouTube videos, but this guy wasn't a typical Argentinian because he was very clean cut. Back then they all had long hair and, stereotypical Argentinians, he was very clean cut. He had this sort of Boy Scout look. That's not why I liked him, but he was kind of noticeable. I was like, oh, I thought he was Italian at first. Yeah. And then I realized, wait a minute. And then his ability to attack, his ability to keep the ball, and then he was eventually the captain of Inter Milan. And then I started to pay a bit more attention to the club and why they became, what's the difference between Inter Milan and AC Milan, because my brother liked AC Milan and he liked Dutch players and so on from that team. And, they were once one club, and the history of the club was, which I love, it was very progressive even back then, where there was an argument, and I'm pretty much condensing this, where the use of international players caused a divisive line within the club. There was a section I didn't want that. We don't want foreign players. And that's what caused a split. And that's what they formed, Inter Milan. And that's where the name came from, international, Inter Milan. And that's something I admired a lot. And, then, of course, signing a lot of Argentines helped. That helped the transition a lot. So, there was a time, at one point in time, they used to call them the Argentina B team. And then there were lots of Italians as well. There's a lot of Argentinian, Italian heritage with this team. And that's essentially, and the thing is, when I fell in love with them, there's a bandwagon thing. People usually like teams that are winning. They weren't doing well. They had a whole bunch of star players, but they would just continuously mess up in Serie A. And, I always felt like this team was on the verge of greatness, but they just need to get it right. And, they had players like Ronaldo, the original one, as I like to call him. Christian Vieri and these guys, Zamorano from Chile, Jokaya from France, who were the top players at the time. They were kind of like a Galacticos before there was a Galacticos. And then, it just eventually I just, stuck with them because I always knew this team and the culture that they had and what they represent was something I could have identified with. And, eventually it paid off. They got the Scudetto in 2006, even though it was because of the scandal. And, they finally won the treble in 2010, which was a beautiful moment, and this is another moment that transcends football. A lot of people I spoke, there was an article, I can't remember where, when Zanetti lifted the trophy, I think there was an article on ESPN saying, even if you're not a fan of Inter Milan, all football fans probably smiled a little bit when Zanetti raised the trophy. And I think Zanetti was a key influence in me really falling in love with Inter Milan.